everybody. Sam Goodman. Really fucking scary stories. How are you doing today? Things are going great. We are coming to you from the Pale Horse Media Co-Studios in the sunny and the beautiful and the super duper creepy downtown Phoenix, Arizona. Bringing you another preseason episode of the Really Fucking Scary Stories podcast. You know what's coming up. Season 2 officially kicks off March the 5th. We're going to keep the preseason episodes coming to tickle your horror itch in the meantime. So thank you for joining us today. Thank you for all the love, all the support, and following along. We greatly appreciate it. Before we dive too much farther, do me a favor. Go down, give us some love, show us some stars, leave us a review. If you're over on, social media things, copy the link, share it with your friends, share it with your family. Your support, quite literally, keeps lights on around here. It allows us to continue to bring you all of these amazing episodes, along with episodes of our other podcasts, such as the Hop Nerd Podcast and Hey Y'all with Sam Goodman. You can go over and check those out at www.palehorsemedia.co. In addition to the podcast, we have videos, we have books, we have an amazing merch store, if I do say so myself. We've got some great, really fucking scary stories, t-shirts, hats, all the above, anything that you might be looking for that's a little merchy, along with merch from all the other podcasts that we just mentioned. So go over to www.palehorsemedia.co for more. Today is going to be a fun pre-season episode, and I guess that's dependent upon how you define fun. It's fun for me. It's fun for me because I love sharing these stories, and I'm pretty sure that if you're anything like me, you like listening to them. So I guess we will call this a big old pile of FUN, because we're going to dive in to the creepy, definitely tragic, and really fucking scary story of Richard Ramirez, aka the Night Stalker. Ricardo Ramirez, known as Richard Ramirez, was born on February 29th, 1960. He was an American serial killer, rapist, and burglar. His highly publicized home invasion crime spree terrorized the residents of the greater Los Angeles area and later the residents of the San Francisco Bay Area from June 1984 until August 1985. Prior to his capture, Ramirez was dubbed the Night Stalker by news media outlets. He used a variety of weapons such as handguns, knives, machetes, and even a tire iron and a hammer. Ramirez, who claimed to be a Satanist, never expressed any remorse for his crimes. During his crime spree, he killed at least 14 people and raped and tortured at least 24 more. Most of this occurred during the spring and summer of 1985. After developing epilepsy as a child, he became a heavy drug user and cultivated an interest in Satanism, which became a calling card for investigators at his crime scenes. Ramirez was born in El Paso, Texas in 1960, the fifth child of Mexican immigrants. Ramirez reportedly suffered multiple severe head injuries at an early age. After he was knocked unconscious by a swing at the age of 5, he began to experience epileptic fits. As an adolescent, Ramirez was heavily influenced by his older cousin, Miguel, who had recently returned from fighting in the Vietnam War. The two smoked marijuana together as Miguel told Ramirez about the torture and mutilation he had inflicted on several Vietnamese women, corroborating these stories with photographic evidence. At age 13, Ramirez witnessed his cousin murder his wife. Dropping out of school in the 9th grade, Ramirez was arrested for the first time in 1977 for marijuana possession. He soon moved to California, progressing to cocaine addiction and burglary. Around this time is also when Ramirez became extremely interested in occultism or Satanism. He was arrested twice in the Los Angeles area for auto theft in 1981 and again in 1984. And noticeably began to neglect his personal hygiene. theft, and other petty crimes quickly turned to violence, with his first known murder occurring on June 28, 1984. The victim was 79-year-old Jenny Vinkau, who was sexually assaulted, stabbed, and killed during a burglary in her own home. What followed was a spree of brutal murders, rapes, robberies that left dozens of victims in their wake. Ramirez next struck nearly 9 months later on March 17, 1985. He attacked Maria Hernandez, who managed to escape, and then killed her roommate. Not satisfied with these assaults, he also shot another individual that same evening, spurring a media frenzy that saw Ramirez dubbed the Valley Intruder by the press. Just 10 days later, on March 27th, Ramirez murdered 64-year-old Vincent Zazara and Zazara's 44-year-old wife, Maxine, using an attack style that would soon become the pattern for the killer. The husband was shot first, then the wife was brutally assaulted and stabbed to death. In this case, Ramirez also gouged out Maxine Zazara's eyes. From my understanding, he took these eyes with him, which is a pretty interesting thing to carry around in one's pocket, I would assume. A full-scale police operation yielded no concrete results, and Ramirez repeated his attack pattern on pensioners William and Lily Doy in May 1985. Over the next few months, his murder rate escalated, claiming another dozen victims in a frenzy of burglary, assault, and brutal violence, complete with satanic rituals. The Los Angeles Police Department responded by putting together a dedicated task force, with the FBI stepping in to assist. The relentless media and police pressure, aided with descriptions from his surviving victims, forced Ramirez to leave the LA area. That August, he journeyed north to San Francisco, where he took the lives of 2 more victims, Peter and Barbara Pan, on August 17th. His unmistakable MO, complete with a satanic symbolism, meant that the Valley Intruder moniker was no longer applicable. The press quickly coined a new name. Richard Ramirez, from this point on, forever became known as the Night Stalker, one of the most infamous and prolific serial killers of all time. As most of his assaults took place at night in the victims' homes, the Night Stalker name, the Night Stalker moniker, stuck. Ramirez's actions on his final night of terror on August 24, 1985, soon led to his capture. First, he was spotted outside of one of these homes. He unwittingly left a footprint before the witness took note of his car and license plate. After Ramirez raped another woman at her home and shot her fiancé, the victim provided a detailed description of her assailant, who had forced her to swear her love to Satan. Ramirez's abandoned car was found a few days later, along with a fingerprint. Enough of a fingerprint to make a match, and his criminal record enabled the police to finally put a name to the Night Stalker. National TV and print media coverage featuring his prison photo, along with a series of clues from witnesses and survivors, led to Ramirez's capture. Night Stalker Richard Ramirez was captured on August 31st after he was badly beaten by East LA residents while attempting 2 carjackings. Ramirez waited in jail as his trial was continuously pushed off, the delay marked by a series of motions and bickering between the prosecutors and defense attorneys. Because the geographical spread of the crimes was also complicated, the scope of the trial with jurisdictional issues, some of the charges against Ramirez were dropped in order to expedite what was becoming a long journey to justice. The jury selection process finally moved forward on July 22nd, 1988, and the trial itself commenced the following January. During this time, Ramirez attracted a cult-like following of supporters, many of whom were black-clad, air quotes, Satan worshippers. Ramirez himself often dressed in black, along with dark shades for his courtroom appearances. Yet another delay occurred when one juror was found murdered on August 14, 1989, but rumors that Ramirez had orchestrated her death proved unfounded. On September 20th, 1989, the jury finally returned a unanimous unanimous guilty verdict on 43 charges, including 13 counts of murder, 5 counts of attempted murder, 11 sexual assault charges, and 14 burglary charges. 2 weeks later, the same jury recommended the death sentence on 19 counts. Leaving the courtroom, Ramirez responded, "Hey, big deal. Death always comes with the territory. I'll see you in Disneyland." The convicted murderer was formally sentenced to death in the gas chamber on November 7, 1989, and was sent to San Quentin Prison in California to spend the remainder of his days. While incarcerated, Ramirez married one of his supporters, 41-year-old Doreen Loy. In 1996, his long-awaited appeal finally made it to the California Supreme Court in 2006 before being rejected. Ramirez eventually was linked to more vicious crimes. In 2009, a DNA sample connected him with the April 10, 1984 rape and murder of a 9-year-old girl in San Francisco. After nearly 24 years on death row, death came for Ramirez. He died on June 7, 2013 at the age of 53 from complications related to B-cell lymphoma. According to the San Quentin corrections officers, Ramirez's death came shortly after he was taken to Marin General Hospital in Green Bay, California. Legend of the Night Stalker, the legend of Richard Ramirez, lives on to this day in pop culture. The recent American Horror Story season 1984 had an absolute eerie portrayal of Richard Ramirez. There's all kinds of great documentaries out there. There's one that's been recently released on Netflix titled Night Stalker: Hunt for a Serial Killer. And I've got to tell you, I just watched that in preparation for this cool preseason episode, and that documentary is just mind-boggling to watch. I think what really amazed me, number one, was the level of evidence that they actually collected around footprints. The footprints in particular. I don't want to give too much away here. No, I'm not going to try to give you any spoiler alert. I guess there's not too many spoilers in historic accounts of things, but just hearing from the investigators kind of behind the scenes, talking about the footprints, how they started to link these crimes together with that, with the 22 caliber pistol that he used, later a 25 caliber pistol, the type of ammunition that he used being kind of old, outdated ammo. It was just really interesting to watch. It was very, very strange to watch the investigators talk about their own personal fears, having families living in LA, and then just to kind of get this feel of the true sense of terror that gripped the LA area and later the San Francisco Bay Area as well, because he really did not have an MO, right? Other than this kind of pattern that developed later on with kind of shoot the husband, execution style, assault the wife, sometimes kill, sometimes let live. It's really, really sad. Unfortunately, if there were children in the house, he seemed to kind of prey upon them as well. But it could be anyone's home, right? It could be anyone. You're sleeping and the Night Stalker could come for you. And I don't know about you, but that's a really fucking scary story. Have you had a really fucking scary experience? Have you seen a ghost? Have you been on a macabre adventure? Would you like to share it on air? Would you like for us to tell that story? Or you just have something horrid that you would like for us to talk about? Head over to PaleHorseMediaCo.com. Use the contact form to let us know all about it. Make sure that you subscribe. New episodes come out every single Friday. We look forward to continuing this creepy, crawly, morbid, macabre, and grotesque adventure with you, the listener. We love you, and we will see you soon. Thank you for joining us today on our trip into the dark. We hope that you join us again next week for all things horror, all things macabre, all things grotesque, here on Really Fucking Scary